Almost good evening, everyone. Welcome to a regularly scheduled board meeting of the El Segundo Unified School District Governing Board. It's May 11th, and we will begin our meeting this evening at 5:04 p.m. I will ask for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Member Wagner today. The rest of us can mute, and he will lead us. Here we go.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Item 3B, report of action taken in closed session. I have nothing to report. There was no action taken in closed session today. And for our agenda hearing period today, we don't have any changes to the agenda that I'm aware of, but I do have one item of public communication that is a non-agenda item. Stand by while I load that and read it out. 1 second. Okay, once again, as a reminder, I read these verbatim and we will have it posted later. It's not already posted with our agenda on the website, so you can read it for yourself as well. The item comes from Deborah Dietz, safety-based design selection. Safety and environmental health run counter to Esusd board promotion of option 3. Online claims of ruining our views ignore same views are shared by the majority of students, community, and town guests. Competent board approaches would preserve or enhance open space, site surveillance, rescue escape routes, and reject concealment. Current chain link concealments against southeast residential property lines are counter to tactical environmental design practices. Overreach and opacity in a program signals weak implementation. Less critical fiscal questions, front stage wheelchair lifts, energy intensive ventilation pale to option 3's elimination of the primary mode of off-site surveillance by police and community. Aesthetics as justification for hardening ignores peaceful uses for over 60 years, challenging trespassers while offering them privacy, especially after 10:30 p.m. Volatile times call for a stealthier approach, technology, and humane solutions to preserve peace and safety for future generations. Okay, and that is the end of the one communication that we have today. And with that, we will move into special presentations. Let me adjust my layout here so I can see who's in the window. Before I move into special presentations, can someone tell me if Madison is online?
I don't believe Madison's joined yet. Mr. Wright, have you been able to connect with Madison?
I was just calling them again. They were trying to log in when I talked to them a minute ago.
I just made her a panelist.
Oh, I see her. I see a window. Okay, so with that being said, now that all parties that we would love to be part of this item are online, I will introduce the first of our special presentations today, and that is the El Segundo Middle School Student Recognition West Basin Municipal Water District Art Contest first place winner, Madison Torres. And for this, I'll start with Dr. Moore, but she will introduce some other special guests.
Yes, President Miller-Zarnicki, members of the board, we are very pleased to have several special guests with us this evening. First off, we'll have Mr. Adam Wright, Principal, El Segundo Middle School, introduce our student, and we are very fortunate to have our elected official from West Basin Water District, Scott Houston, also joining us this evening. And this is a real honor for our board to have Scott joining us as well. And he'll be talking a little bit about the contest and what West Basin Water District does. So let's kick it off with Mr. Wright, and then following Mr. Houston's remarks, then we want to hear from you, Madison. So hold on, we'll start off with Mr. Wright. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Thank you, Board President Miller-Zarkey, members of the board, and cabinet. I'm honored to introduce Segundo Middle School 7th grader Madison Torres. Madison is this year's grand prize winner of the West Basin Municipal Art District's Water is Life art contest. That's a lot of words going into that art contest. At Segundo Middle School last year, Madison took visual arts as a 6th grader with Miss Kaplanis, and then this year as a 7th grader, she's taking our advanced visual arts with Miss Kaplanis. But as you can see from her artwork, she is a very, very talented individual. Madison's not just a talented artist, but she's an all-around excellent student. Her teachers adore her, and we're so proud of her accomplishment. I'm very lucky to have Madison one more year here at Segundo Middle School, and I can't wait to see the art that she creates as an 8th grader. Thank you all for recognizing Madison and her amazing talent and accomplishment.
Now we'd like to call on Scott Houston to share further about the Water District's work, as well as this particular contest. Welcome.
Sure. Hi, Dr. Moore, and hello, members of the board. First of all, I hope you can hear me okay. I assume you can. It's always hard to tell with these. So I just wanted to say a couple of things. Number one, I'm really delighted to be here. You all know this has been an extremely long, more than a year of these types of meetings, with the school board, the water board, all of us. So I'm very anxious personally to get back out and see everyone in person. And normally I would come down to your board meeting and congratulate Madison in person. And I will say I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet, but I will. A couple things though, West Basin is your regional water district. I am a longtime resident of El Segundo. I've lived here over 20 years now. And I've served on the board going about almost 7 years. So I'm very proud to represent Division 4 that includes El Segundo, and some of the other communities, just to give you perspective of Division 4, are also Culver City, West Hollywood, Malibu, Topanga, and a number of unincorporated areas like Marina del Rey and Ladera Heights. So for Madison to be the grand prize winner of the Division 4 middle school, that's a lot of competition right there, and so we're very proud of her. One thing about it, we do this contest every year. We have been getting great feedback and participation. What's always difficult is a number of the teachers are retiring, as you all know, and so a lot of times our really stellar teachers that help us, especially in the art programs, they have been retiring, at least in other districts, and so we're always really working with the districts to get the next, the next set of invigoration, if you will. So I really want to say thank you to the school board and the staff, and Dr. Moore, your staff, for working with our district, because our staff works hard to reach out and put out the word every year. And this year, of course, was much more difficult than years previous. So yeah, there you go. There's the art. So for what it's worth, I really want to say thank you for that, and also the longstanding partnership that we do have with the district between our education programs, between the tours of the Edtoberfest Little Water Recycling Facility right here in El Segundo, and the other ways that we work with you. And one thing I want to also express to the board is Dr. Moore is extremely wonderful and responsive, and I do shoot her an email, and she makes sure things get sent to you all and also sent to your list. As you all, I'm sure, know, one of our biggest challenges for all public agencies is getting the word out about many different things, and so every bit of help that you give us and give me, that's greatly appreciated. The one last thing I want to mention is these students who submitted art, both at schools from El Segundo and others. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. They'll be, I think, putting some of this artwork up on the West Basin website at some point, I believe later this month when we have our board meeting, and we'll be recognizing different winners. But there'll be a way, I believe, for us to have that artwork displayed for the public in some shape or form. And I do remember actually seeing Madison's piece when we get the kind of these final selections, and we also put in our votes, independently and anonymously. And I really love this piece. I think it's excellent. And lastly, on all of this, I think that this couldn't be more prescient with the latest news the last few days when it comes to the drought, and how we are once again in the West having much more difficult times. Matter of fact, was it yesterday or this morning, the governor, actually yesterday, basically 1/3 of our state's population, 41 counties out of 58 are under emergency orders for drought. Now, the one blessing in all of this, and I have to make sure we understand, the Southern California right now, we're quite insulated because of the fact that we do have a lot of reservoirs in storage. We also do a lot of things like recycled water and groundwater replenishment. So on the one hand, we're very insulated at the moment, but that doesn't mean we get too comfortable. So again, this contest really helps us promote these issues for our public and for our youth, and we get them invigorated. And I want to say thank you so much to the full, for both the board and your staff, just everybody. It's a team effort. I couldn't be prouder to work with you and represent you all. And so thank you, Madison. Congratulations. And you very well might be getting information from our staff to come to a meeting from us, but I do look forward to however I can continue promoting your wonderful artwork. So thank you.
Now let's see if Madison has a few words. Yeah?
Yeah. So really for this artwork, I was really inspired by a lot of videos and documentaries I've seen in school on this problem of our water pollution. So I really wanted to make a tribute sort of to the animals in the ocean, because there's a lot that have been affected by trash in the water, and the beaches also have been affected. So that's why I drew fish, and I really wanted to use the slogan, "Our water, our life," because even if it is also very important for animals' lives, it's also important for our life, and we need to really take care of this problem in our water.
Thank you, Madison. That's a wonderful piece of art and wonderful effort. And I'm so glad that you were so inspired to join this contest and put your art into a beautiful message. So thank you so much for doing that and representing our district so well. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Madison, we'll be sure that you will be getting a certificate of recognition from our school board. Because we're meeting virtually, we'll have to call upon each of them to come in to sign, but we will be sure we get that to you, and I will personally deliver it over to the middle school with Mr. Wright. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Scott, for coming in and for all your service to our community as well. We greatly appreciate that. And Mr. Wright, thank you for keeping art alive and well over there at the middle school and having, again, the time and effort for our students to use their art in such a beautiful and meaningful way. We love that. So thank you so much, everybody.
Our pleasure.
Okay. All right. Middle school attendees, and Scott, you're welcome to sign off if you have other things you need to do at this point, but thank you for being here. We're going to move on with our agenda. So thank you. Bye, Madison. Take care. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Scott. Okay. Moving into our next special presentation is our student representative report with Benny Villa. So Benny, your turn.
Okay. So as I'm sure you all know, the high school officially returned to 4 full days in person with 1 hybrid day on Zoom. We have about 70 to 75% of the student body on campus, so that is really great. Secondly, we had our senior masquerade on Main on April 30th. That was last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago. We had about 205 people show up. It was really cool. They had a nice firework display, a video presentation showing all of the student seniors on top of the high school. That was really cool. And the masquerade court winners were Emron Kasim and Leah Latante. And finally, last but not least, our girls varsity soccer is officially going to CIF. So that is all.
That is all good stuff. Thank you, Benny. Great to hear it. I'm glad you had a great time at the masquerade on Main. For those of us that were spying on it through social media, because I didn't want to be like, hovering on the sideline. It looked amazing. So I'm glad that such a wonderful experience was there for you guys to enjoy. So, all right. Well, thank you for your report today. And our next presentation is an update from the El Segundo Education Foundation. We have Mr. Frank Glenn, the chair, online to catch us up with what's going on over there. So Frank, come on screen.
Can you see me? Thank you, President
now.
Miller-Zarnicki. Well, first, I'd like to add my congratulations to Madison. That was a beautiful piece of art. And I love the theme, Our Water, Our Life, because it's very similar to our Ed Foundation theme this year, which is Our Schools, Our Community. And it's exciting to see art alive and well in El Segundo. So just like the school board and the school district likes to get ahead of things, so does the Ed Foundation. And it's a bit of a melancholy week this week because we would be planning for the gala. And as you all know, this is the second year we haven't been able to have it. But we are planning an event. It's in September, on September 18th, which is a Saturday. And it is called Edtoberfest. So we have Edtoberfest in September. So we really are ahead of things. So we're planning a great event to be held in Chevron Park. Of course, it's fingers crossed on everything, and we're getting a lot of local support from our El Segundo brewery. So planning a really fun night for everybody. Not for you, Benjamin, though. On those lines, we also have a pledge drive going on at the moment. And with the $100 donation to the Ed Foundation, you will be entered into a weekly draw. And the prizes are some beer from a local brewery, but also 2 tickets to Edtoberfest. So it's a great time. We have triple matching grants going on from Chevron and Matt Krabs and somebody else. I can't remember right now, but it's a really good time to donate to the Ed Foundation, and we will be meeting our pledged goal of donating $1.8 million to the El Segundo Unified School District again this year. And one last thing is that the Summer Academy is up and running, and you can register your kids at the El Segundo Ed Foundation website. And that's what I've got for you, and thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for all that good stuff. Looking forward to September. That's the weekend after my birthday, so I guess I can use that as a great place to celebrate.
Yes.
And I will say, my Facebook feed has had memories of galas past coming up for photos in the past that I look at lovingly and know that someday we will all be together to do that again. So thank you for everything you guys are doing while we're not allowed to do that. So we appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks.
Okay. Our next and final special presentation tonight is an update on Measure ES construction and modernization projects. And I'll turn that over to Dr. Moore.
Yes, it's with a great deal of pleasure that I bring to you Dr. Dylan Ferris, Executive Director of HR and Facilities, Danny Gauna, Executive Director of Information Technology, and Priya D'Souza, our Program Manager, who manages all our bond projects. They're going to be providing a comprehensive update regarding Measure ES bond projects this evening.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moore. Good evening, President Miller-Zarnicki, members of the board, and of course to everyone at home. This is a periodic Measure ES bond project update. As Dr. Moore mentioned, I'm joined this evening by our bond program manager. You'll hear a little bit from Danny Gauna about some of the check work that's been going on. Danny, if I could get the next slide. So we have a lot of ground to cover. And so the purpose of this presentation, I want to make clear to everyone at home that our board is well abreast of all the goings on the Measure ES bond projects. They get a comprehensive update every week, and so they know all of the various details of our projects. So the purpose of our presentation this evening is as much for the folks at home to be caught up on all of the things that have been going on, including projects that have been completed, projects that we're starting for this summer, as well as projects that are in the queue to start in the next year or two. So with that in mind, I'm going to move very quickly to try to touch on every single one of these projects. And just know that at the end, if you want to dive into any one of these projects with more detail, we can do that in that question period. So with that, we'll start off with a little bit about our tech and security, and we'll hear from Danny first.
Thank you, Dr. Phyllis. Good evening, everyone. The next generation projects for the district was the audio and video classroom upgrade for all district-wide classrooms. The project was one of our first to kick off and completed in the summer of 2020. The technology bond projects has given the district the ability to standardize all audio and video equipment in all the classrooms. Technology support is now more efficient and effective with the IT team. Here's the standard audio and video for the primary and secondary classrooms. All classrooms district-wide have the Extron audio and video infrastructure. All classrooms district-wide use the Intel Unite solution to allow teachers and students to cast their laptops, Chromebooks, or iPads wirelessly. All classrooms district-wide have a new sound system, which includes new speakers and wireless microphones. Epson interactive projectors are installed in the primary classrooms, and standard projectors are installed in the secondary classrooms. Whiteboard displays are installed in the primary classrooms and work with the interactive projectors. I want to thank our vendor Extron and our contractor EKC for having a successful deployment. From the start of the bidding process and understanding the district goals, both parties did a great job with working with my team during the installation, implementation, and training. And to top it off, they met their deadlines. Next slide. So safety and security. We install new cameras district-wide, which falls under our bond security commitment to our stakeholders and also to our community. We also completed the project in the summer of 2020. With the help of the site principals, we determined the best and secure place for all the cameras. Our newly installed security cameras are a cloud-based solution that allows our team and site principals to monitor and manage the cameras anywhere with no extra software. Here are the total counts for all sites. Keep in mind that we'll grow each time that there's new construction. Next on our radar for our safety and security implementation is our new paging and bell system to be completed this summer. And that is it for me. Thank you. And I would like to pass the presenter to Dr. Ferris.
Okay, thanks. So what we'll do is we're going to go site by site, and we'll start each site with giving you the list of projects and what our original, or I should say our last board approved phased budget plan would be. We'll also give you updates on what the numbers are for each of the projects that were either completed or are currently estimated in design. And I will tell you that those numbers do not always match up, either because there was a need for change orders or overruns on a particular project, or maybe a savings and we actually saved money, although that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And then also for projects in design, you know, we go through we have an estimator every step of the way in the design, give us an update on what they expect the projects to cost. And so when we encounter those differences, we either have to scale back the projects or value engineer the projects, or we need to come back to the board and get the board to tell us, yes, we are okay with changing the budget. And of course, whenever we increase a budget, we have to pull that money from some other projects. So there will be budget studies sessions to come for projects that are in design where we might have to make some of those decisions. So first, we're looking at Center Street School. At the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the grand total slated for Center Street is about $4.5 million. That includes 2 shade structures, some fencing work, a library upgrade. The big project is the new drop-off improvements, which we'll talk about in more detail. And then in our last rephasing of the projects, we deferred the projects that was the outdoor learning court. And what deferred means is we're projecting that we may not have enough money to see all of our projects through. So when we get through some of our larger projects, if it turns out that we still have enough money to carry forward some of the projects that move to the bottom of the list, we will re-examine those. And so when you see deferred on these tables, that's what that means. Next slide, Danny. So just briefly, we just want to highlight, we're very pleased that we were able to complete the 2 shade structures. These are hard, one hard shell structure and one soft top structure. You'll notice in the top right-hand picture on this slide, you'll see a concrete switchback pathway. We call that a switchback. And that's because with every one of the projects that we do, there is an expectation that we're making improvements to the campus to improve accessibility. These are code issues, and it's about bringing up our campuses to the current codes, which are constantly changing. So when we have to do that, you'll see that there are always ancillary projects connected to every major project we do, whether that's restroom upgrades or path of travel upgrades. So that switchback that you see there in the concrete work in the bottom left is an example of that. This project is complete. Our project value is about $605,000. And you'll see on most of the projects we completed this punch list pending. And what that means is we have not released the contractor yet. We have not filed a notice that we're completely done. Because there may be certain things that upon inspection we want adjusted or changed or finished in a different way. Next slide, Danny.
So go ahead. Senate Street Library project, the scope of this project involves complete remodel of the library space. So that's new ceilings, new light fixtures, new floors, new walls. DSA also required us to upgrade those 2 bathrooms because they were not up to code, and that required us to demolish the existing walls and make them twice the size. So we bid this project out. We actually received about 15 bids, and the construction budget is, it came in about $65,000 under budget. So we're going to hold those savings, like Dylan said, till we wrap up this project. And in the end, if it does still come in under budget, we're going to transfer it to another project. The contract was awarded to Modern Construction Management. They actually only started demolition last week, right after they received the notice to proceed. So in the bottom of your screen in the center, pretty much they got all the demolition done within a couple of days. The next step is to start sandblasting those walls. Bottom right-hand corner is those walls which you see are covered in brick. They're actually right now under about 5 layers of paint. We had made a decision during design to take it back to the original brick finish. So we're going to be sandblasting that paint off. The completion of this project is projected to be end of August with a budget of about $650,000. Next slide. The other project ongoing at Senate Street right now is the replacement of all the perimeter fencing completely surrounding the school. Just regular 8 feet tall chain link fence. We actually bid this project, I would say about 3-4 months ago. There's a delay in chain link material. It's actually coming from Texas and expected to be on site about the middle of June. So when we bid this project, we actually planned for it to be done in 3 phases so as not to impact the operations of the school. Given that now material is going to be showing up in summer, we're going to work with the site to see if we can just do it all in one shot and get it done maybe in a month, or we could still do it in phases, whatever the site would like to do. Same completion date, worst case, we'll get it done over summer. Next slide.
Okay, so our big project for Center Street School is improvements to the front. We refer to it as the horseshoe, but it's that drop-off lane that we actually don't use as a drop-off lane. And that's because we have so many pedestrians that are coming onto campus at that morning hour. We do use that area for parking. It's very tight. As I said, lots of pedestrians. This is a case of a project where we really want everything and you just can't have everything. And so what we're looking for are increased parking is a desire here. Our number one desire is increased safety for pedestrians coming onto campus in the morning and in egress in the afternoons. And to bring this area into code. And by what we're really talking about is the slope, the sidewalks, they're all far out of code. And so this project involves essentially regrading that whole front area. We will be widening the entire space, adding a, and Danny, I don't know if you can hover your mouse if that does anything, but the sidewalk along the lower side of the horseshoe, that would be a new sidewalk. There is no sidewalk there at this time. An improved entrance right there in the center. You can kind of see that dashed line there where there's a new front walkway with safety features that include raising up that walkway so that they're elevated when cars are coming through. Any student or pedestrian who may be needing to cross would be on an elevated platform so that they're more easily seen by a driver. It also features the renovation and addition of parking spaces. It's trying to figure out how to describe this. Just that north area on this diagram here, or the upper area, that's a new parking lot development. And then an additional sidewalk along the left side of your screen there. This is about a $3 million project, and that's because, again, we pretty much have to rip the whole thing up, regrade the whole thing, and then rebuild the whole thing. So it's a pretty costly endeavor. We will yield only a few more parking spaces, but we will have greatly increased safety for our students. And we're expecting this to be late fall of this year. Okay, moving on to Richmond Street. Richmond Street actually has quite a few projects slated. So our grand total, again, looking to the bottom of the screen there, is over $18 million was budgeted for Richmond Street projects. As you know, and we'll highlight, we've been working on the new front entrance area, the security, vestibule, administration office redesign, new fencing around the kindergarten area. We got the new windows finally completed. We also have a new outdoor shade structure in the kindergarten area. The big project that's currently in design is a 2-story, 6-classroom building that we're very excited about. This includes some adjustments to the blacktop area and the addition of a fire lane and the removal of an old decrepit building that includes 2, we call them portable classrooms, site power upgrade, and then we have some improvements to the main building, which includes connecting a corridor from the main building to the building along Mariposa. So let's jump to the next slide. So here is our new beautiful security vestibule. So we added a second set of doorways inside the main entrance. It forces people who come in during the school hours to have to enter the office to check in. Formerly, people could just walk in off the street and the only thing directing them to the office was a sign to please come to the office. We think the real magic here, though, is the addition of the tile work. And this tile work really has just made this a beautiful entryway. And I have to give the credit to our boss, Dr. Moore, because this has her touch all over it. She was highly involved in the project and the selection of these tiles. And I have to say she was right on with her selection. So this was about an $800,000 project. It is also still in that punch list phases. So we're nearly finished with this. Danny?
So Richmond Windows It was actually just one of the 11 projects that we undertook last year. We awarded these projects to AMG for a total contract amount of about $6 million. Richmond Windows was definitely the most challenging. We replaced 115 windows. We know the windows were delayed. We planned worst case that they would take about 10 weeks to get here, and they took, I think, about 4 months. Arcadia, the manufacturers for the windows, who is the largest manufacturing company for storefront windows in Southern California, were hit by COVID, I think, about 3 times and completely shut down. We were getting probably 3 windows at a time, and the guys would unload the truck and they would go right up. But I think our windows were only done about December. But besides COVID and the manpower shortage that we faced last year, there were a couple of other things that impacted all these 11 projects that we've been talking about. It was typhoons actually hitting Japan. We had a mechanical unit that was going to the new administration office in the middle school that was coming from Japan and couldn't ship. The other mechanical unit for the high school vestibule was stuck at Mexico at the border crossing. There were high winds in the desert in California. The cement factories were shut down for a couple of weeks. And then when they came back online, it was all the larger construction projects that grabbed all the concrete. So even though we needed, I think, 50 yards of concrete, we had to sit and wait in line for about 2 weeks. But I think all in all these projects turned out great. Next slide. Other project at Richmond was the shade structure at the kinder area, metal shade structure for lunch, with ornamental fencing along Richmond Avenue to help with security. DSA required us to install a light fixture. So in the top left of your screen, you can see that bottom of the light fixture right there because it was really dark. And we made the decision, actually Dylan did, to go with solar. And I think it really lights up that area. Then also what was required per DSA was the upgrade of the kinder bathrooms. So on the bottom right, you'll see one of the bathrooms we upgraded to bring it up to code and then completely replaced all our finishes. Next slide.
So I didn't know if you heard what she said, Tracy. She said, I made the decision to go with solar on the light fixture. So the next big project in the queue that we're very excited about is the new 2-story building at Richmond Street School. And, you know, we have been hard at work trying to figure out a design that was really going to complement the existing campus, which is hard to do, I will tell you, because of the way that the Richmond Street School campus has been built over time. You know, we really did not want to create another building that would be kind of disjointed. So we're very pleased with the direction that it's taken. As I mentioned, we'll be demolishing some old kind of out of their life cycle portable classrooms and replacing it with this 6-classroom building. So that's a net of 4 classrooms. We may end up having to occupy another classroom for our hallway. That's a separate project. So our net would be 3 additional classrooms here. Our folks at home should know that we use every inch of campus at Richmond Street School. There is not one free classroom. And so this is absolutely a vital project for the future of the school. The building itself has been, obviously, will have elevator for 2nd floor access, boys restroom, girls restroom, and a staff restroom. If I could show the next slide, Danny. You can see our latest renderings. So, you know, again, we're very excited about putting a project together that will have all of the new features of, you know, new architecture and new construction, but will also use finishes that make it connect with the existing building. But also with some finishing touches that will make it fun for our kids and bring it to life. We intend, you know, as the budget allows, I have to use that phrase, as the budget allows, to do improvements around the periphery of the building so that we can improve the outdoor experience in the adjacent areas. So we'd like to see some improvements in the courtyard that will be created between this building, the library, and the main lower grades building. Our budget for this is about $15 million, and we're expecting construction in the beginning of 2022. Danny? Yep. Okay, moving on to the middle school. This is one of our premier projects is featured at the middle school, and that's one of the reasons you'll see a pretty hefty budget. We have over 24 of the $92 million bond pledged to the middle school campus. The premier project there, as you're aware, is our new gymnasium building, which the designs have been completed for and are currently under review. That building was originally projected to be $17.9 million. In addition to that, we have the also new safe and welcoming front entry. We completely gutted and redid the administration building, which you all attended our ribbon cutting for recently. We have fencing projects at the middle school. We also have new science and music classroom upgrades and modernizations, upgrades to the multi-purpose room, which is basically their auditorium. And then we had originally planned for kitchen renovations, but again, that was a project that we had to defer with an expectation that we'll revisit it when we get towards the end of the bond projects to see what would still be possible. Next slide, Danny.
So the security vestibule and administration remodel at the middle school, this is one of the projects that we did last summer. This project was a complete gut job. During construction, some of the issues we faced was we found an asbestos ceiling up above the old ceiling. That stopped construction for about 4 weeks, I believe, till we could get special clearances to remove it and remove it safely. There was a column right in the middle where the lady sitting at the front desk, right in the middle of that space. So it had to be specially structurally designed to move it to the back black wall and hidden behind there. The old campus workroom, which was at the back of the campus, has now moved in front. So we enclosed the breezeway space in between the old admin building and the library space. We filled up that concrete where the old bike racks used to be. We put in a new roof and enclosed the walls on either side and created this new workroom space on this side. And it's a beautiful space for the new admin staff. Budget was about 1.6 million with a little punch list item still ongoing there. Next slide. Middle school science classrooms. This project is in design right now with PBK WLC. So the old PE classrooms in building E, the plan is for these classrooms to move into the new gymnasium when the gymnasium is built. So these old PE classrooms will be converted into science. Through design, we are trying to keep the maximum flexibility in terms of usage of space. So the only built-in cabinets or desks you're going to see is going to be the teachers. On the right-hand side, we have the floor plan there. So you see the teacher's desk and sinks along the wall. So individual students will not get sinks. We're not going to be touching any of the perimeter restrooms for students. We're going to leave them as is, but we are going to include an office for the 5th science teacher as a flex working space, and they will have their own staff bathroom. Project budget on this is 1.5 million, and the plan is to start construction on this at the end of this year. Next slide. The other project in design with PBK is the music and band room. This involves the remodel of Bulldog Hall, the multi-purpose room, the music and band room on the left-hand side. The old campus workroom that has moved up front in the admin space, that's going to be transferred and converted into instrument storage for students to use, so they don't have to store their instruments on the floor outside. On the Bulldog Hall side, we're going to be, we have to add a wheelchair lift, right where you can see it highlighted right there. This is going to be required by DSA because right now that stage does not have a wheelchair access. What we are going to do is currently on the there's a curtain, a full height curtain that separates Bulldog Hall. So on one side, it's being used for serving students during break time. And when that happens, you cannot have any teaching activity going on at the same time in the hall as well. So what we've requested the design team to do is build a full height rated wall with a set of double doors, actually 2 sets of double doors in there to so you can go back and forth. So you can continue to use that as a serving space as well as have performances or teaching happening in the main room, and both can happen at the same time without affecting the other. So this project is on the same timeline as the science project. We are set to start construction if everything goes well by the end of this year with a project budget of 1.8 million. Next slide.
Okay, and then as I mentioned, our premier project is our middle school gymnasium project. Again, for the folks at home, this project is a standard middle school gymnasium with 1 full-size basketball court or 2 practice courts. It also includes locker rooms, which our students currently do not have access to, and then 2 new classrooms and a small stage so that the venue can double for assembly type activities. This project, the designs have been completed and submitted to the DSA, which is the Division of State Architecture. They're reviewing our plans for fire life safety issues, accessibility issues, and structural requirements. And we're expecting that review period to end in late June, early July. After which point we would really be looking to go out to bid, and that timeline is, under 2 months is the expectation. So we're really looking at a fall start for this project, with completion coming in late 2022, early 2023. The total project budget is about 18.9. Next slide, Danny. So there are still things that we're working on with this. So while the footprint of this project is set in stone, so to speak, and the designs that are approved are going to be the designs that we have to go out to bid for, there's still issues around this project that we're looking at, particularly after receiving input from some of the local community members who have concerns that we may still be able to address as we move forward. Some of the issues that are brought up are concerns about parking. So while this project does add about 29 additional parking spaces, we'll continue to look at how we can provide additional parking when needed for special events. So overflow parking potentially on the basketball courts that border the building. We're also currently designing, it's a bioswale, which is something we're required to have, which is treatment of our runoff water, right? Before it goes into the storm drains, you have to do something to treat that water. So we can do that using a natural green bioswale, I'm looking at you, Tracy, feature, which also doubles as kind of a buffer, because that was also one of the concerns, is that we have a really decent buffer around all portions of that campus, with the exception now with this new project of the northern border. So we want to make sure that we're kind of honoring our neighbors and concerns. So we're working on both the parking issue and the buffer, and then really making sure that the facade of the building is going to be an attractive one. So we're looking at landscaping issues and ways to make sure that it really is going to be an attractive project for anybody who resides close by. Anybody who has to look at this thing on a daily basis are going to be really pleased with the facade. So still some decisions to be made there, and we're still meeting with our architects on a regular basis, and we'll continue to work through some of those issues and maybe bringing back some ideas for the board to consider on that front. Next slide. Okay, and now we're on to the high school. For the high school project, the grand total, which is cut off there, is about $19.8 million. So we've already worked on quite a few of these projects, which we'll go through, but they also have a front entry security portal. We already installed an air conditioning system in the science building. You're aware we have the new ornamental fencing. We've done some chain link fencing upgrades, some gymnasium upgrades, some window replacements. Big project right now is the library modernization. And then they also have a major building project, which is a new music/band building, which also serves our concession stand needs and some special education services spaces. And so we'll jump into some of that with next slide, Danny.
Right. So two of the projects that we completed last year was a perimeter fencing at both the high school and the middle school. They were bid together and awarded to RT contractors. The project is done. At the high school, the architect PBK WLC incorporated these beautiful brick columns, which really complement the aesthetic of the high school campus. The project is done. We're seeing a saving of about 70,000 on the high school, and I think about 25,000 on the middle school. So these are some of the projects that are recognizing savings that we're going to be transferring to other projects as they come online. Next slide.
So just a few more of the projects that were recently completed. So we did completely change out the windows in the engineering and arts building. We also addressed the security issue at the main building, which was the exact same issue that Richmond Street had, which is people could walk on at any time of day and walk right onto campus without having to check in. The high school, and not to take away from any of our other campuses, but it has a special aesthetic and design that anytime we touch that campus, we want to make sure we don't do anything to mess with the integrity of that design, aesthetic. So I'm pleased to say we're very proud of the work that we did in that foyer. Once again, this was something that Dr. Moore was hands-on with and wanted to make sure that it was done correctly. And so definitely has her touch. You can see that we have the beautiful new tile in the foyer there. If you haven't been out to see it with your own eyes, I encourage everyone to pay a visit to the new entryway there. I think we've done a good job of keeping the character of that high school building alive. The other thing that we did as part of this project was redesign the attendance office. So there actually is a functional attendance office with a countertop now where somebody can enter the office and receive service, more like in a traditional attendance office where you would receive what you would expect to see. Previously, students would have to come to a window in the hallway to get service, and so now we have a more traditional office space that's been redesigned. And that's what you see in the top right-hand picture there. And so the projects listed here, the security vestibule was a little over 400,000. Our windows project was closer to 500,000. Both of these are still in punch lists. Next slide.
So high school North Gym was actually not part of our facility master plan. It was actually one of the first projects that I'd walked with Dylan. And I remember Dylan actually jumping up and down on the floor, and the floor had quite a big bounce to it. So when we removed, it was slated, we met with the design team, we decided to completely replace that floor. Some of the issues that we encountered is that the subfloor, the 4x8 girders that was supporting the floor, had cracks in them. So we replaced, I think, about 5 or 6 of them. There was termite damage along one of the perimeter walls. And the pilasters supporting the subfloor were not anchored down to the footings. So we fixed all those issues. So definitely a good investment. I think it's about, 700,000 for the North Gym. The South Gym, the scope was completely new bleachers, new hoop system, and refinishing all those floors. Baseball field, we removed all the old fencing, which I think had been built up over time. So all those posts right now at about 30 foot up in the air, 10 feet below ground. It was another undertaking comparable to the Richmond window replacement project because we had the Edison line that was live along Sheldon Street, and it required a lot of coordination with Edison. The project budgets, North Gym, 720,000. The South Gym was about $1 million with the baseball field coming in right under 600,000. Next slide. High school renovation. This project is just started 2 weeks ago. It involves a complete renovation of the high school library and the Hall of Fame room. So we bid this project out. I think we got about 10 bids, and we came in about 200,000 under budget, construction budget. So that's definitely a good chunk of saving. As you can tell from the pictures on the right-hand side, the contractor is bent on trying to get ahead of schedule. We are complete with demolition, and we're going to start layout this week. And we're currently meeting with the furniture vendor to finalize all the new furniture going in this space. The project budget for this is about 1.8 million, and we plan to get it done over summer and be ready for the next school year.
And can I just stay on that slide for 1 second, Danny? Just,
Sure.
I just want to make sure everyone draws their eyes to that bottom right-hand picture, because that's what it looks like right now. It has been completely gutted, and you can see the openings in the wall in there, which are, we're moving to a glass wall between the main building and what was the Hall of Fame, and you can see they've completely opened it up. We're very excited about this project, and demolition always makes a very quick and a dramatic impact. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, next slide, and we're coming to the home stretch here. So the high school's big project we mentioned was a new music building. I'll just remind everyone that the board just a few months ago made an architect selection for this project. So we have NAC architects working on this, and we've had multiple design meetings with our facility advisory committee members, high school administration, the music teachers, the activity directors, and we have seen several iterations so far trying to get us closer to a design that we may be moving forward with the specifications for. And we're pleased with the direction that this has taken. And of course, we'll bring this back for a more closer look from our board before we get too far down the road. But what this project entails is a music space, a large music room that is right there at the end of the end zone, so that our students could go right out onto the field from the music space with all of their instruments. I know you're all aware, but just to remind everybody at home, we have a large band program. They're a competitive marching band program, and currently they just simply do not fit in the music space that we have available. So we would be correcting that problem with this new building. At the same time, incorporating a concession stand space that would be make use of the outdoor area for an experience for our students and our people who come to our events, and also looking at ways that we might even make use of this during the school day, so it's not only for special events. So looking at ways that we can, again, create an outdoor experience that works with this building. We want the aesthetic to accentuate the existing architecture, but we also gave some direction to look at how we can tie the existing gymnasium building, which doesn't match the rest of the buildings, and make sure that we have a way that connects everything together in kind of a thoughtful way. So these are the things that they've been working on. It also includes, it's a life skills classroom. So this is a classroom devoted to our special education program that introduces students to life skills. Community-based instruction is how it's described. So this would be a program that students would be able to come in and out of, going out into the community for some of their lessons. We're currently working through the potential for parking along the north side of this project. So you see the latest rendition on the left-hand side of your screen there. We are directing them that it's not enough, it's not there yet. We need to maximize if we're going to invest in parking, we need to make sure that we're really maximizing and getting all the parking that we can get. So they're continuing to refine that. I did want to just point out one thing, and we'll again come back with a more images and a presentation for you, but this particular iteration, they're really giving thought to how to bring, if you look at that bottom picture, there's the North Gymnasium right behind it, and they're really looking at how to make the facade of the building and the viewpoint from the field bring that building into view and make it part of the what's it called when you look at the skyline and there's a word, you know, like when you see the building scapes.
Profile?
It's not
Profile?
that, but yes, that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, they're doing a good job, and we're pleased with it, and we're going to be very excited to bring you back the next iteration of designs they come with. So this is about a $14 million project, and this should kick off June 2022 is our hope. So with that, I have one more slide, which is some shout outs. Danny, if I could get the next, yes. So one, of course, we need to just continue to profusely thank the community of El Segundo for approving the bond that's making all of this possible. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without the support of the community and these bond funds. Also, would just want to continually give our appreciation to the Facility Advisory Committee, and this is a committee that meets with us as often as we need, but at least monthly, to go over our designs, to look at issues and see if there's things we're missing, to poke holes in our plans and tell us we need to fix something or make it better. And we have a great group of people that are working with us, including Frank Glenn, who just spoke a little while ago. Also, our Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, who really monitors the budget and making sure that we're, you know, dotting our I's and crossing our T's and keeping everything above board. And, you know, it's without question, right? Everything is being done correctly. So we want to thank all of those folks, and of course, thank you to the board for your support on everything as we move forward. And so with that, we'll stop the slideshow and then turn to the board to see if there's anything you'd like to talk about more specifically.
Wow, thank you for that. That was overwhelming in an excellent way, I have to say. There's just so much going on, and I do want to reiterate how much we appreciate the teamwork that's happening from you know, you, Dylan, and Preeti, and your whole team, and everybody, you know, from the top down all the way through all those committees you mentioned. There's a lot of thought going into this. So, board members, questions, comments? Mike?
Yeah, just one. I want to say, you know, I think, and I wrote it down, the release of contractor. I think, you know, the public needs to know that in this oversight, you guys are working extremely hard to review the scope of work that is contracted for, and we're making sure that the contractors in their due diligence are completing the work as to the specifications that we initially came up with the architects, and that's being reviewed, and that we're not releasing these contractors until their work is completed. And that oversight is really important. And I think, you know, re-emphasizing that for the public and for everybody that's watching is that you guys are really taking care of the money that's going into these projects. It's, you know, we're not just throwing money at it, and it's being reviewed in the oversight committees and down to the wire. You know, we're getting so much information, we're fine-toothing it. And, you know, Tracy and I had a conversation about, you know, change orders and, you know, we're doing a very comprehensive job of reviewing it on our end at the board, and you guys are presenting that information. And so I just want to make sure everybody in the public understands that you guys are doing that due diligence, and that you are keeping the contractors accountable, and that you're watching, you know, every nut, bolt, screw, nail that goes into it, and every penny, dime, and nickel that gets spent on it. So I just want to say thank you for that, because it just reassures me that it's being done the correct way. So I appreciate that. Thank you, you know, Dr. Ferris, for that oversight, and Preeti, thank you so much for that. So I just wanted to say that, and that kind of alleviates discussion coming down the line on some of the action items we're going to be taking, because I'll just be repeating myself. So for everybody out in the public, you won't hear me talk then. So, but thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Daima.
So going back to the Center Street drop-off, which is something that I think everyone is looking forward to who has attended Center. One thing that I want to clarify or that I want you to touch on is the emphasis is more on safety and the crossing than it is on parking. Will there be additional parking or not? The additional parking is not material enough to really count as a gain, but more so it's that elevation so that when you are driving around, is it so that you can see the kids, so that you can stop in time and we won't necessarily need the volunteer cross guards right there? Just explain that a little more.
So I don't think we'll be looking to not have any safety staff. So we'll still continue to have crossing guards and all of those things. Safety is the first and foremost goal. So that's the majority of the design prioritizes safety.
Okay.
You know, the other thing, and I don't know that I did an adequate job explaining this, but the accessibility issue is dramatic, right? The slope of the sidewalk for people coming onto campus, the narrow width of the sidewalk, you know, trip and fall issues for people coming to visit has been an issue. You know, we've experienced that on occasion there. So part of it is really bringing us into compliance, which will also make it safer. Parking, you know, it's a net 2 spaces as what we're looking at in the current iteration. I do have to qualify that, and I'll be careful about the way I say this, but the way that we have measured out parking spaces currently is probably tighter, I would say more efficient than what the architects can lay that out at. So, you know, there will be larger parking spaces when they draw this out. There will also be some reduced parking in area in spaces to increase visibility, right? So where you have a crosswalk of students crossing over, you can't have cars parked right up to where those crosswalks are, right? Because you need to have better visibility. And so the safety actually impedes our ability to get more and more parking there. So, you know, our current design shows a net 2 parking spaces. So that is, you know, unfortunately deprioritized in that way. But, you know, there may be some time down the line where we look at where could we be a little bit more efficient and maybe find a few more spaces.
All right. Any other questions or comments? I spend a lot of time in Facilities Advisory Committee, so I don't need to ask any questions here that I haven't already asked. And yes, love the solar, love any sustainable means we're doing here. So thank you for calling those out. Paulette, go right ahead.
I just think it's absolutely amazing. Every time I take a tour, I'm just really excited to see all the work that's going on, and it's truly amazing. And congratulations, guys. You're doing a fantastic job.
All right.
Totally agree. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for all your hard work, continued hard work on all that. All right. With that, we will move on to our discussion item for tonight. And that is consideration and possible action on resuming in-person board meetings and readjusting meeting time. And Dr. Moore will lead us in this discussion.
Yes, thank you, President Miller-Zarnicki, members of the board. This item is brought to you now that we are in the yellow tier, which is great news for all of us. It is for you to consider whether or not you would want to resume in-person school board meeting. On the board item, I have attached the various health orders, and there are logistical issues that we will have to keep in mind, but I definitely think on the staff side, as far as being able to execute these without a problem, I do feel that we are ready, and we have moved stuff out of that room so that it will be ready. But we will require spacing of 6 feet apart between board members. However, we have a larger board table now so that we can move the board around so that you maintain your 6 foot distance, and we can put partitions in between. In addition, we can have the staff rotate over 2 tables in front of the board area so that they also will have a safe spot to sit. Our room capacity will be limited to no more than 50 people maximum. And so we'll have to maintain that as well. And then it still requires masks up until this point. So those are the logistics that we'll handle. We will have to make sure that we keep that room capacity in mind. And so we'll have someone assist any members of the public that want to address the board. And we are looking at continuing to live stream, but that members of the public who have public comments would have to attend the meeting at this time.
Okay. Thank you for all the facts. And yes, I read the health order outlines as were attached, which, you know, ever changing. That was just as of what, last week. So thank you for giving us all that reading material. And you said 15 or 50? 5?
I read it before. It used to be 15. It is now 50, maximum of 50.
Okay. Not that we ever really have 50 people in person, but okay. I just want to make sure I heard that right, because I always had 15 in my head. But yes, with yellow tier, I understand how that could have shifted. So thank you for that. So board members, Paulette, go ahead. What are you thinking?
Okay, so when you say live stream, you mean we're still have Zoom?
So great question. I'm working with Danny. One of the features that we have really, I think, had a wonderful reaction to is the fact that the meetings are live and that people can click on our website now and go right to our YouTube channel. And so we've actually had greater public participation as it relates to tuning into board meetings. And so we would be doing this through our YouTube channel and not through El Segundo TV because it is more user friendly.
So Paulette, like we did before, it won't be different to what your experience is in the room. We won't be talking to a screen like we are now at home. Is that correct, Dr. Moore? We'll be in the room speaking as we used to way back when we were on the dais. We'll just be really spread out, and it'll be televised like it was. Really, the main difference is, if I get this correct now, we're just spread out. We're wearing masks, and people that want to come in to speak for public comment will just come in one at a time, and we'll clean the podium and all that as they come and go. And that's basically it, right? With my understanding. Okay.
Dr. Moore, I didn't hear it. You said no TV. I mean, it won't be on cable. Is that true? No.
We would be on the YouTube channel, so through computer. Yeah, we would not be having El Segundo TV broadcast anymore. The YouTube channel is the better way to go for increased viewership.
Yeah, I think so, because that was what I've noticed, that we have much more participation in a live stream.
Okay, great. Naima, I think I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you. So just looking at the health order, I guess my question for you, Dr. Moore, is do we have to have the separation of 6 feet if everyone on the dais is vaccinated? Is that something that we have to worry about? We just have to be separated from the audience, or how does that work? Or are we still in consideration going to maintain that space and mask?
Based on the health order right now, it is still required to be 6 feet and the mask. I do anticipate likely the middle of June we'll be hearing some changes coming from the state as it relates to this, but at this moment in time, those are still required.
I'm wondering if Benny has any thoughts on this, because he hasn't been in the boardroom ever, right? I don't think you know. So any thoughts? How are you feeling about this? Because you're part of this team.
Pretty excited to finally be in the building, honestly. It'll be nice to actually wear pants. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
I'm okay with this yoga pants thing, I gotta say. Anyway, well, thank you, Benny. I appreciate that. Mike, what did you want to add?
I don't know how many meetings I've attended in this wonderful room that we're going to share together, and it is just magnificent. I mean, Dr. Guana was in here today working with his staff. When I got here, you know, it is absolutely beautiful. The pictures on the walls, the aesthetics. I can't wait for all of you to come and be here. And I think, you know, in good faith, you know, we've asked our students, our teachers, everybody to come back, and you know, for us too, you know, I think it'd be a good opportunity to show our unity in returning back. And even if it's a little bit of a hassle for us to put those masks on, you know, because of the proximity issues, then we just deal with that, you know, for the time being. But you know, I would like to serve, and I think that's part of it as a community and being together. You know, versus this virtual platform. For me, it would be very exciting and very rewarding just to be able to be in all of your guys' presence in conducting the business of our community and our you know, school district. So, you know, my thoughts on it, it's here, it's just beautifully done. I just can't say and tell you how. So it would be a great honor for everybody to come back and consider coming back to have these meetings together.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So let me see now. We're not really gonna, well, let's keep this conversation going, then we'll come back to whether we take action. So we do have some options regarding time that we should talk about if we are going to shift to coming back in person. Option 1 would start closed session at 5 p.m. and regular board at 6 p.m. Option 2 would be closed session at 6 and regular board meeting at 7. We used to do 5 o'clock, that's so long ago, I don't remember. No, we used to do 5 o'clock, correct? And no, we did 6 o'clock.
No, we used to do 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. But at one time the board did 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and then they shifted because of a member who had a hard time getting here at that time. So anyway, so it's really at the convenience of the board. I did query cabinet members, and our preference is option 1, but we understand that all of you have work schedules, and we serve at the whim of the board.
Okay, so Paulette?
I liked option 1 also. I'm just gonna.
Okay. Naima, what are you saying?
Oh man, it sucks because I like option 2. I do apologize. Option 2 long term is more attainable for me, but I mean, it depends on what we as a board agree on.
I can be flexible.
Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, as a former administrator, I just know those days get extremely long when you start at 7 and then you start a board meeting at 7. So, you know, for their sake, I do like option 1. But I know, you know, also, you know, for our working professionals, you know, 5 o'clock is the cutoff line to get off of work and, you know, to have a little bit of time in between the meetings. I'm very flexible in regards to my schedule. So, you know, I think, you know, in terms of it, option 1 seems the most reasonable since we're already kind of in that time frame. And if we got into any long meetings starting at 7, you know, it could potentially go into late hours. And so I would try to avoid that for the parents and for the students too, that, you know, are participating and that are trying to view or maybe want to be a participant through their viewing. So it's something to consider. So I think the earlier times for our elementary school families and that to be able to attend is a better option. So, you know, that's why I'm with option 1.
Paulette, what's your thoughts?
Somebody asked Emily.
Yes, and she was unable to join us today. Typically, I think she lobbies for later because of her work day. Dr. Moore, what's your feeling on that? I didn't ask her prior to realizing she could not join us tonight for discussion. Do you have a sense of that based on your history?
Based on my history, I would assume she would also like option 2, but that is sheer speculation.
Okay. Yeah, I do know, definitely our 4 o'clock start times have been problematic on her work schedule. So at least we're not doing that. Interesting. So at this moment, we seem to not have consensus on a time that would be appropriate to shift to. Saima, yes?
Could I ask that we table this until we can get Emily to weigh in as well? Is this something that we have to vote on tonight?
Well, here's what I would say. No, we don't. This is, it can come up for action later, but can we at least come to consensus that we would like to meet in person as soon as possible? Is that agreeable to all 5 members that I see here, including you, Benny? That's you. Yes, thumbs up on meeting in person as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dr. Moore, if you have that consensus from us and want to talk to staff about room prep and all that for ASAP, perhaps we have an action item on our next agenda, virtual wise. I don't know that we could there wouldn't be a reason to call a special meeting for this. I think this is just the natural time frame.
Does it take an action item for us to attend in person, or is it just, following the protocols legally? Because I know it allows us to attend virtually, but I don't know if we actually need an action item to attend.
Backing out of emergency mode, you're right. I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't feel that's necessary to actually take action. I would just want more clarity as it relates to the meeting time, because we, as the staff goes, can definitely be ready for the next meeting, which is our May 25th meeting.
25th meeting, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
well,
so
if option 1 is a compromise to the times now, because we were starting at 4, if we started our in-person meetings at 5 and then kept this as a discussion item like board member Wheaton suggested, if we want to ratify an actual time, then we could do that at a future meeting so that we have consensus on the time. But I think if we met at 5, it's a compromise right now because we've been starting at 4. So closed session at 5, meeting at 6. With the close of the year, we shouldn't be getting into too many controversial issues that are going to take a lot of time. And I don't know if it needs to be an action item that we meet. So if we just come to an agreement that we meet on the 25th, I think it'd be great. Please come back and meet with me in the room.
Mike's tired of being lonely over there. Naima, go ahead. What did you?
So I don't want to select a time and ratify it. I think we can come to an agreement that we meet at 5 p.m. on the 25th, should we decide as a group collectively to move forward. But I don't want to set that as the time until we have agreed in full that we'll go back at that time. Again, I am comfortable with returning on the 25th at 5 p.m. for that meeting. And then at that meeting, we can address it if we have everyone in attendance.
All right, I think that sounds like a lovely solution. Again, this is a baby step on the road to normalcy. This is just moving back to what we've done before, like we're doing with every step of this exiting pandemic or managing lower levels of pandemic really mode. So, okay, consensus is that on May 25th, we will meet in the boardroom for 5 p.m. closed session. Oops, my earring just fell off. 5 p.m. closed session, and then we'll have 6 p.m. public meeting. Okay.
Yes, and Board President Miller-Zarnicki and members of the board, I will post this agenda item for the time as a discussion for May 25th as well.
Perfect. That sounds great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your input and consideration. I look forward to seeing your faces not on Zoom in the future. Okay, let's move into consent agenda item. Consent agenda tonight. Are there any items that need to be pulled this evening from our consent agenda? Mike, yes?
Yep. Due to my relationship with the football program and certificated personnel, I'll ask that item 6B be pulled from the consent agenda. And then if I need to, I'll motion that consent agenda item 6A, C through O be put up for approval.
Okay, thank you for the motion. Do I have a second on the motion for consent agenda items A and C through O? Is there a second? Okay, thank you, Daima. Any discussion on these items? All right, seeing none, we'll move into voting on items A and C through O. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
And Daima?
Aye.
Paulette? Oh, we lost you for a sec there. Paulette, or I saw you go away. Paulette, did you voice a vote?
No, my computer is moving in and out. So aye.
Thank you. And that problem will go away in the future. I will also vote aye. So consent agenda items A and C through O have been approved. The motion carries 4-0. With that, Mike, we're going to ask you to turn off your camera. I'll text you to come back in when you're clear. Turn off your camera and your mic. Mike. When I see him go, there we go. Okay, let us go back to consent agenda item 6B. Is there a motion for approval? Daima, yes? And
I move to approve consent item B.
okay, we have a motion, and is there a second from the one other board member that is able to give me a second? That would be Paulette. Thank you, Paulette. Okay, any discussion on item 6B? Seeing none, we'll ask Benny for his advisory vote. Do you hear me, Ben? All right, Daima, your vote?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
I will vote aye. The motion carries 3-0. Stand by while I get my phone and get in touch with Mike. Okay, let's give him a moment to return as we get ready to move into our action items. And there he is. Wow, he must have gone for a walk outside. He's got dark glasses on.
Yeah, it's bright out there.
All right. Thank you for that. We are now ready to move into our action items. The first item on the agenda is 7A, approval of resolution number 19 for 2020-2021, classified school employee week. Dr. Moore.
It is with a great deal of pleasure that I introduce this evening's item to you. Our classified employees have been the unsung heroes this year, and they are the first line of defense at the school, whether it's regarding cleanliness, regarding greeting the public, regarding interfacing with our students, regarding serving meals. They have been mighty warriors from the onset, out there handling the business, and we are extremely grateful this year more than ever. And so I enthusiastically bring this for your approval this evening.
Thank you. And I think Clerk Caudill is prepared to read the resolution for us because it has a lot of good things we want to hear.
All right, I am prepared. Okay. Resolution number 19/2020 through 2021 classified school employees week, May 16 through 22, 2021. Whereas classified professionals provide valuable services to the school and the students of El Segundo Unified School District, and whereas classified professionals contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment, and whereas classified professionals serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of the El Segundo Unified School District students, and whereas classified professionals employed by the Unified School District of El Segundo strive for excellence in all areas professionals have demonstrated their dedication to the district and the community during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the El Segundo Unified School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contributions of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and in the El Segundo Unified School District, and declares the week of May 16 through 22, 2021 as Classified School Employee Week in the El Segundo Unified School District. Adopted this 11th day of May 2021 by the El Segundo Unified School District Board of Education.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for that lovely readout. Could I have a motion for approval? Naima, yes. And a second? Mike, thank you. Any discussion on this item? Oh, Dr. Moore, yes.
I just wanted to mention that
Well
in
deserved.
addition to this resolution, that our friends at Chevron have purchased Kiwanis cards. Here, I have them over here. Kiwanis community discount cards, and these can be used by our businesses that have been so sorely hit with financially due to COVID. And so this is a wonderful discount card that Chevron has purchased, not only for our teachers, but for every classified employee as well. So we're very happy that Chevron is once again so generous with our school district and to honor our employees in this way.
Oh, that's wonderful. And thank you again to all the businesses that signed up to be part of that program. We'll be happy to see our staff go and support them, as I do as well. Naima, yes?
Yes, just a quick thank you to our classified employees, and I'm thankful that we are carving out this week for them. I know for the PTA, we honor our teachers, but I think it says something about our district, how we include everyone and just setting aside time for our classified employees. I'm just extremely thankful for all they have done to help us get through this pandemic and just moving forward in honor of them. So thank you.
Yeah, this year is definitely unlike no other for them. Never thought they'd be moving desks and using all these newfangled disinfectants and all those things and everything for everyone. So very appreciated. Okay, any other comments? We'll move into voting then. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike, your vote.
Aye.
Naima,
Aye.
Paulette,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. The motion carries 4-0. Next item on our agenda is item 7B, approval of resolution number 21 for 2020-21 Mental Health Awareness Month. Dr. Moore?
Yes, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and now more than ever, I'm sure all of us have heard from our parents, our community, about concerns that they see with our students and their emotional well-being. I know I myself have been in PTA council meetings along with Member Wheaton, in which they have shared, concerns regarding our students and the need for these types of services. So this resolution is especially important because safety is not only about physical safety, but it's also about emotional well-being. And so we enthusiastically bring this to you for approval this evening.
Great, thank you very much. Do I have a motion for approval? Naima, yes, and second to Paulette. Thank you very much. Any discussion on this item? I think nope, go ahead, Naima.
Just really quickly, I just want to say, I'm happy that we're talking about this. It's really important that we are putting this out in the open and having a conversation. It's one thing to speak about mental health awareness, to have it for the month, but to talk about it as a school district. I think that's so important, to celebrate it and remove the stigma surrounding it.
Yeah, I think a healthy brain is a healthy part of your body. I mean, it's an important part. Mike, go ahead.
I just as being part of the committee in curriculum, and Dr. Janicek's worked hard with the committee on social emotional well-being all year long, and to capsulate it at the end of the year right now in this culminating month, I think, says a lot in regards to the ongoing services and provisions that we're providing, our parents and our students, the community that's involved in the district. There have been program after program and it's been a very difficult year in dealing with, these kind of issues. And, in that being said is Dr. Plotkin and special needs students deal in this type of behavior all the time. And, the care and the, safeguards that the district takes in ensuring the health of our students in this way is extremely, extremely important. And so thank you to that portion of the cabinet and Dr. Moore's administration for always making that a priority here. And, I hope that, everybody realizes we're emphasizing it this month of May, but it is something that the district does in its comprehensiveness. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, Paulette, go ahead.
And I want to highlight that we didn't wait. I mean, we've been proactive, and that we already have instituted the ruler program, and that is an exciting program. Yeah, I've been looking at that for a couple of years, and we're already there. And this will augment this mental health month.
Yeah, I think our shift in our goals to make social emotional and overall mental health, like the whole student that we shifted to in 2020 and saw the welcoming of ruler program and all kinds of other discussions and supports couldn't have been better timed. I'm grateful that we were able to come into some really challenging times with the support and continue to make it a priority. So thank you to everyone involved with that. With that, let's go ahead and vote. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. Motion carries 5-4-0. I can count. Next item on our agenda is item 7C, approval of resolution number 2020-2021, agreement for use of district property between ESUSD and the El Segundo Education Foundation. Dr. Moore?
Yes, this is an annual agreement that allows our Ed Foundation to run our summer programming. The exception would be our learning loss programming that the district will be running. So this will be in addition to that, and this is for fee programming that the Ed Foundation runs. They do, however, offer some limited scholarships as well, and that will be at the middle school and I believe at Center Street this year.
Okay, thank you for that. Do I have a motion for approval? Mike, yes, and a second. Paulette, thank you for your second. Any discussion on this item?
Just a thank you to the Ed Foundation for providing these classes.
Yes, always. All right, let's move into voting then. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
And Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. The motion carries 4-0. Thank you, everyone. Action item number 7D is approval of updated school calendars for 2020-21 and 21-22. Dr. Moore?
Yes, the school calendar is an item that the board approves, and based on collective bargaining and some various health order requirements, we do need to make some changes. So one would be that we would not be hosting our elementary open houses this spring. So that would be removed at this time. Middle school's promotion needs to be changed due to the fact that we have the high school on the same date, and we will not be able to do both in one day for parents. It'll be logistically impossible. And then lastly, making sure that we have the reflected paid holidays for our classified employees specifically called out on the calendar in order to avoid confusion.
Okay, thank you for that. Can you guys hear me okay? I had to do a headset switch there. My AirPods were dying. Okay, thank you so much. Do I have a motion for approval? From Paulette, I do, and a second from Daima. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Okay, seems pretty straightforward. So Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. The motion carries 4-0. Action item 7E is approval of Eagles Nest Preschool summer rates and program schedule for 2021. Dr. Moore?
Well, the board had already approved the reinstatement of the Eagles Nest Preschool for fall, and this is to offer summer programs. So we would be running the summer program from June 21st to the 23rd in line with any health order requirements. So we're very enthusiastic to see our little 3- and 4-year-olds returning to the nest.
Thank you. Yes. Can I have a motion for approval? Daima, yes, and second to Paulette. Thank you very much. Any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, we will vote. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. Motion carries 4-0. Action item 7F, approval of the Learning Connection summer rates and program schedule for 2021. Dr. Moore?
Yes, this is for 2 4-week sessions for our Learning Connection program. As the board will recall, actually the summer day camp was the first program that returned to our schools in August last year, successfully without any COVID transmission. And so we're very proud of the program. This does provide an essential service for our families, and we're happy to be providing childcare in a fun environment for our students.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion for approval? Daima, yes, and a second from Mike. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? No? All right, seeing none, we will vote. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. The motion carries 4-0. Item 7G, approval of salary schedules for school psychologists and speech language pathologists. Dr. Moore?
At our last board meeting, the board approved a tentative agreement with ESTA. And prior to this salary ratification agreement, the school psychologists and speech and language pathologists were unrepresented employees. So we needed to update their salary schedules to reflect the new increase and that they are now members of the ESTA. And I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion for approval? From Paulette, yes, and a second from Mike. Any discussion on this item?
Sorry.
No, go.
Yeah, just want to say, I think this is a great move for our school district, because I think in most districts, they're not represented, and there's a shortage of these types of special needs certificated providers, and being able to do this for them in our district and give them that security of having that foundation of the union and that representation, I think is a really smart move on our district's part in approving. They're very difficult, very specialized educators, and being able for them to be recognized like this, I think is a big step.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Okay, let's move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. 4-0. The motion carries. Item 7H, approval of corrected salary schedule for certificated management. Dr. Moore?
Yes, this action approves a correction to the certificated management salary schedule document that was attached to the April 27th board action. So this is to amend and correct.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there a motion for approval? Daima, yes, and a second from Paulette. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote? And Mike, your vote?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. The motion carries 4-0. Item 7I, approval/ratification to enter into an agreement with Meteor Education using a piggyback contract with San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. Dr. Moore?
Yes, this contract enabled the district to purchase additional desks, single desks for students that are also 21st century furniture. So they have casters, they'll be able to nest together when we can once again group students. And so I think we made a wonderful long-term investment, and it is our short-term solution to our desks for the moment. In addition, we had a wonderful discussion with the ESTA yesterday about involving our primary teachers in the selection of future furniture for their levels. So we're going to hold off and just recognize this as the short-term solution, and then come back to the teachers to get further feedback and have some wonderful 21st century furniture for our primary grades in the fall at a later time.
Okay, thank you for that. Do I have a motion for approval? Daima, yes, and a second from Paulette. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Nope. All right. Oh, go ahead,
I'm
Paulette.
glad that I'm glad that the teachers were allowed to weigh in. That always augurs well.
Definitely. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into voting now. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. The motion carries 4-0. Our final action item tonight, item J, approval of contract change order number 4 to the agreement with AMG and Associates Incorporated for the 20-002 summer modernization projects. Dr. Moore.
Yes, I have nothing else to add. The overall total is $16,624, and I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
Right. Motion.
And a second? From Paulette. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? No. All right. We've seen it on many pieces of paper now at this point. Thank you. Thank you for all the checks that go into place to make sure all this works out properly. All right, let's move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Mike, your vote?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. Motion carries 4-0. Moving into the reports section of our agenda, we have the informational calendar. Dr. Moore?
Yes, next week we have several PTA meetings with council on the 17th. Middle school, which I believe includes their installation on Tuesday the 18th at 7. Center Street PTA installation meeting on Wednesday the 19th at 6:30. And we have our next Board of Education meeting here at 641 Sheldon Street in the boardroom at 5 p.m. and we'll discuss time again.
Lovely. Thank you for all that. Okay, item 8B is the posting of the financial statements for high school ASB. They are there for anyone to look at should they choose. We'll move into our board members report time now, and we will start with Mike.
Well, let me make this really quick. First one, El Segundo High School. We just had our PTA meeting, And I want to thank Jacqueline Guy, our former president of the PTA, for all her service at the high school PTA level. And thank you for your commitment to that. And to our new president, Debbie Gabrielson, who will be taking over as a PTA president. So thank you for keeping that organization going and the support that you offered. And a special thank you to Dr. Gooden and Ms. Devlantes for their programming, not only of getting all the kids back into school, and while doing that, putting on a awesome masquerade on Main Street, which I think went off without a hitch, and by all the kids' reports was just an amazing, perfectly timed event and opportunity for them to get together and celebrate. So thank you for that. Greatly appreciate all the effort that went into that. Where am I at right now? Okay. SCROC, not a lot going on. We have a board meeting coming up. But again, I would encourage parents to look into, and educators watching, and administrations to please, if we're talking to students and the academia kind of college path isn't something that they're looking at, SCROC is a great alternative to give them practical skills in alternative education so that they can go out and be viable citizens that we are trying to produce here. So please keep that in mind as we're talking to our students. And I'd like to thank Dr. Moore for her leadership. We are going through a lot this year, and we're coming down. It's culminating in the end. There's going to be a lot of events coming up like that. So I just want to make sure I don't forget to thank her for that, and for the cabinet administration, in particular, Dr. Ferris, Dr. Rabii, Dr. Janisic, Plotkin, amazing job in keeping this district going. And not only that, but the administrations at the schools. I want to say thank you so much for your intense look. Dr. Gooden, again, Ms. Devlantes, Mr. Wright, Dr. Monahan, Dr. Lee, at all the schools, thank you so much, and your administrative teams, your staffs, for all that you do in regards to getting the kids back. It is making a huge impact in our community, them being back physically at school. I can't thank you all enough for the hard work that you put in and all the details that you are having to track and keep track of in doing that. Thank you to our board. I think we're having some very robust discussion, and I appreciate you all very much. And it's not always easy. We're challenging each other. We're, asking great questions, and I think our discussions are going really well and in informing and helping form the policy of our district. And then, but I would like to just really thank our faculties and our staffs who are on the ground level. You coming back to our schools is making a huge, huge impact. I mean, I can't describe it. The students are different young people because of the influence that you have and the interaction that you're having with them. And so I'm just extremely grateful for you. And I know Mr. Rabii, in charge of all those logistics and getting this all back. Thank you so much for all that care that you put into doing that. And just everyone involved. I'm just really grateful to be a part of this district as a parent and as a board member. So grateful to everyone. So thank you very much. And that's it as far as reports.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We'll pass the microphone to Daima.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I want to talk about celebrations, and I want to ask you to focus your attention to Facebook once you are off of this meeting, and I want you to go to the El Segundo Council PTA. And the reason why I'm going to ask you to go there is because I want you to look at all of the units for the Honorary Service Award. And I'm going to point out the two that I normally represent, and that is Center Street. We have Wes, we have Marley, we have Dr. Monahan. we have Ruben, Mora, and we have Miss Leilani, who has fed many of our children. And I'm going to then go to the council level. We have Lisa, we have Ellen, we have Maureen, we have Paul, we have Stephanie, which we all affectionately know as Tessie. So again, just take your time, look at the Facebook page. We have them listed for every unit. I think it's important that we celebrate everyone. You'll also be able to go to the units and you'll look at all the events that took place at the different sites. We just are off the heels of celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week, which was May 3rd through the 7th. Very nice for all of us just to take a step back and just to say thank you and honor everyone who has worked so hard for our children. And it's a great example of our community coming together. Next, we just voted on this, and that is our classified employees. So May 16th through the 22nd, I am looking forward to that. But moving on to my units again, for Center Street, we have our installation meeting on Wednesday, May 19th. And I think that's going to be a nice treat if you have a chance to say goodbye to the dedicated individuals who served this year and welcome the ones who will serve next year, the ones who were brave enough to step up to serve on the heels of coming through a pandemic. I'm going to claim that this pandemic is over, but it's not yet. And then for PTA Council, their last meeting is Monday, May 17th. And that's all I really have for you. I just want to say thank you and just looking forward to our next meeting in person. I'm excited. If anyone has an update and I see you there, it'll be exciting to see you in person. Otherwise, you can tune into Facebook and see us. We're always available. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Naima. Paulette, let's hear from you.
I had a really fun thing that I did last week. I went and saw, well, I didn't went, I did, this is went. I zoomed in on the middle school's advanced theater presentation of Fox. It was a one-act, did you guys see it? It was a one-act play that it was very poignant, very clever. It kind of highlighted what it's like to be a middle school kid, and humorous, sad, and real. It was just a treasure, And they really did a good job. Absolutely amazing. But unfortunately, we can't zoom that. We can't show that on our YouTube. I asked her if we could. Yeah. Also, I went on the tour of the campuses. We get to see middle school. We got to see Center Street, Richmond, but we didn't have enough time for high school. So she promises me we're coming back. It's really beautiful what we've done, as you could see in Dylan's presentation. And yes, and last but not least, middle school has sent me what they want me to announce for them. Middle school PTSA was thrilled to celebrate our El Segundo teachers and staff last week. We are so grateful to all of our sponsors, volunteers, parents, and students who made the week truly special. Special, no dinner. We can't meet later. Anyway, lost my place. The next PTSA general membership meeting is on Tuesday, May 18th at 7. The new 21-22 team will be installed at this event, and thank you to all the PTSA board members, chairs, and volunteers who have supported our El Segundo Middle School team this year. At the general membership meeting, El Segundo PTSA will also be honoring our PTA honorary service reward recipients this year. Congratulations go to parent volunteer Julie Burston, at El Segundo Middle School counselor Cheryl Charney, El Segundo Middle School teacher Justin Lee, parent volunteer Katie Ludi, and El Segundo Middle School teacher Steve Lubes. We are honoring those people. Sorry, and I will not miss this chair. It's the worst chair in my house. I've just decided. I should have changed it.
Paulette cannot get back to the boardroom soon enough. Is that right?
That's right. Oh yeah, and the screen just disintegrated. So, and we're going back not a minute too soon. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thank you, Paulette. And I will try to make it fast because my fellow board members already called out a lot of gratitude that I was going to do, but I'd like to reiterate all the amazing work that went into the Masquerade on Main. What a beautiful event. I think it was also a really uplifting thing for the whole community, not just our seniors. I mean, our seniors are special and we're so glad you had it, but I think the whole thing, you know, from closing Main Street to having the water tower feature the school colors to like, there was a lot of just good positive energy out there. So I am grateful for everybody's hard work on that and the partnership with the city to make that happen too. I also enjoyed watching Box at the middle school. It was great. They made the most of a virtual venue. And thank you again to Ms. Goodman for inviting us to attend. It was lovely. We had another jam-packed facility advisories committee last week, but you all saw a lot of that tonight, so I won't speak any further to that. But there are multiple meetings per week with that group in some form or another, and I appreciate everyone's time on that. Yes, I also want to echo the excitement of PTLA installation season. Thank you so much to everyone who served in this past interesting year and exciting restart for people coming back to campus as they start their new terms next year. So that is great. And I just want to say that I am still jumping, doing the PTA Jump for Education Challenge. I want to not jinx it by saying I'm glad I haven't hurt myself yet. I know it's good for me, but it is hard work. So I'm doing my best. It was great to walk around Center Street and ESMS last week to get a preview of what this latest rendition of health order imposed seating looks like. And those new desks are cool. And I'm glad they will get used going forward. And we had to buy them in a bit of a rush to make this happen, but we did it and we'll use them and they're going to be great. I am grateful for the M&O team, again, putting in all the extra hours and hard work to make those rooms happen the way they needed to happen. And I would hope that, you know, with a week now under our belts, people are getting used to their new schedules and what the rest of the school year is going to be like. So the yellow tier didn't change any of that. We're not going to pull the rug out and change anything again. So settle in, enjoy the ride for the rest of the school year. But I do want to say thank you to everyone in the community, our families, our teachers for, again, another shift in what has to happen to deliver the best learning opportunities to our students. But I have to say, I can't tell you how many people have told me how grateful they are that this change happened and that they're getting a step closer on that path to normal. This winding road of pandemic craziness is putting them on the right path to hopefully finish out the school year kind of in a normal way. So grateful for all the flexibility and resilience and patience that everybody's had working through this. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, our El Segundo active case count is now at 7. 7! That's amazing. So let's hope that just keeps ticking down and that, again, all of our safety measures are keeping us going in the absolute right direction. So I think that is all from me. So I'll pass it now to Dr. Moore for her report.
Yes, thank you. Just very briefly, I specifically want to acknowledge our partners at the City of El Segundo and specifically City Manager Scott Mitnick, who definitely had a let's find a way philosophy, which I really appreciated. Our Fire Chief, Chris Donovan, and our fantastic Public Works Director, Elias Sassoon. So the city took things and to the next level with lighting the water tower, and that was all Public Works who really stepped up and offered that up as another part of the equation. So I had an opportunity to share with other superintendents at our South Bay Work Investment Board meeting what occurred on the Masquerade at Main Street. and it was truly magical. And all credit goes to Dr. Melissa Gooden, Ms. Sarah Devalantis, and the amazing Ms. Robin Espinoza. Remarkable, once in a lifetime event for these children. So congratulations, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, we have no oral communication from the audience, but in our next meeting, we could, if people want to come. That item will now be in effect again. They can come to be speaking at the end of our meeting. So,
Come back so the lights stay on for me.
right? I know Mike can't keep that room running by himself. So that doesn't, item 10A doesn't apply right now, but it will next time. We will not be recessing to closed session tonight. We will then say thank you all for being here, and we can adjourn at 7:08 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great rest of the week.
It's